Welcome. This is Story Nexus. I'm David J, and with me is Mr. Nitro. How you doing, my friend?
Thank you for
I'll stick
having
with
me
DJ.
on.
Real quick, David. Tell me your story, kind of up until this point. What's brought you to here? What it is you do? How you got there? Things like that.
I'm
Please.
originally from San Jose, very close. We're from actually Campbell. We're not far from where you're from. We went to high school together, but I now live in San Diego. I moved down to San Diego to go to college. And like so many people that come down here for college, I stayed. I ended up going to law school, and now I've been an attorney for the last 14 years. I'm mostly focused on bankruptcy and estate planning and helping people basically protect their assets from creditors.
When you look at the rest of the country, perception of California right now, especially, is not very good. San Francisco, they're letting people just steal whatever they want. And let me tell you, to a point, it's true, but it's like it's not true also. Like there's good people here. There's a lot of really good stuff where I live. Do you feel that San Diego is still kind of in that realm, where the Bay Area is so damn diverse with everything and everybody kind of looks at it as this like super, super liberal area, you know?
It's hard to generalize to the whole state of California, which I do it a lot. A lot of people do it. You look at the city of San Francisco, you look at downtown LA, very liberal, lots of issues, lots of homeless. The whole state is not exactly like that. I would say San Diego leans liberal, but there's plenty of conservatives. It is, I would say, a reasonable area. You get a mix of everything. I have friends that are very liberal. I have friends that are very conservative here in San Diego. There's actually more physical counties in California that are red than they're blue. It's just that the blue ones, LA County and all the counties in the Bay Area, are super blue. So San Diego, I would say I'm conservative, but I'm not super conservative or super anti-liberal. I think I'm more reasonable, but lean conservative. And I think San Diego is reasonable, leans a little left, but to me, it hasn't played a large role in my life in San Diego. But let me be honest, my wife, who is in the jewelry business, goes to downtown LA once a week. She literally has to walk over homeless. They're homeless all over the place in downtown LA and in downtown San Diego as well. That's a huge problem. And I think that's a liberal problem. And that's one of the biggest problems here in California. You don't see that as much in other states.
Yeah, true. Well, you do see it. It's just it's not, it seems like it's real pandered to here. Like they cater to homeless and they kind of give them a lot of options where a lot of other states don't, like when I lived in Oklahoma,
Homeless in
it's
other
freezing
states.
outside. You don't want to be over there,
Exactly. And people, I was going to say, people in other states come specifically to California for the homeless benefits and the low enforcement of any rules against panhandling or camping on the streets, that type of stuff.
Unless there is a Chinese dictator coming. Did you hear about that, Dave?
Not only did I hear about it, I got jealous. I'd never seen San Francisco so clean.
Man, it was sparkling, buddy.
I've been to San Francisco in a decade. I almost go up there.
I couldn't believe that. Wait, let me ask you a question, David, and this may be off of the beaten path, but is something, as a lawyer and as somebody that has a good perspective with these things, would be able to answer my imaginary mind, or is this actually something that could be true? I moved to Marin County, and in Marin County, I imagine 99% of the time was predominantly a rich area with, white being probably the majority. That doesn't seem like that's far off, correct? Now, when I moved here, I would say within the first couple months, I noticed that there was all of a sudden a influx of Hispanics. Like, and I don't mean like a couple. I mean like all of a sudden, I go to my son's school and it's probably at this point 80% Hispanic. They have areas where it is full, full of like condos, nothing but Hispanics. Like it seems to me like, again, this may be conspiracy idea theory. I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking you, because I think that you'd be able to shut me up or not. Could there be a notion to take the conservative areas and influx them with other type of voters? Is that actually something, or is that just conspiracy out of the window kind of crazy?
I actually wouldn't know, and I wouldn't call it crazy, but I would think that if people were trying, if that's what the goal was, there would be more efficient ways to do it other than in places in California, because as a state,
Right.
California is still blue. So but let me say this: there are still plenty of red or conservative or Republican House members from California. California has 55 members of the House, and a good amount of them are Republicans. So yeah, maybe there's something to that. But if the strategy was really to get more liberals in conservative areas, it would be much more efficient to get them into the swing states that vote on, because when you win in the presidential election, when you win a state, you win the whole state. So they would want to go to Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia,
Right.
California. Maybe there's something to that. If you're saying they're going to move more people that would vote blue into red areas within California, it doesn't really help the blue cause, you could say. If
Okay.
they really wanted more power, they would, and if they're moving people, they would move them to Pennsylvania. Okay. Because
Right.
Pennsylvania's a swing state. Michigan's a swing state. Wisconsin's so maybe there's something to some of that. I don't know though. And I really don't know enough to really say yes or no. I don't think it's ridiculous though. I think people and politicians will do a lot for power. A lot.
See, it's just, to me, Dave, it's like I don't see why this area would be attractive to a Hispanic family that barely doesn't know English, and really like what is their skills? Their skills are probably some type of agricultural kind of thing. Like there's no agriculture here.
What you have to
Maybe there is.
remember is in every wealthy area, a lot of times wealthy areas will have areas right next to them that are a lot poorer, that house a lot of the workers that the wealthy hire. We're talking bus boys in expensive restaurants, house cleaners, gardener, all that type of stuff. And I don't just mean Hispanic, it can be anyone, but that's what people have to keep in mind. So you have something like Beverly Hills, and then a few cities over, there'd be a lot poorer area that a lot of people that will work in those rich areas live. Any downtown metropolis that has nice areas, right next to that, there would be,
Right.
where they would bring in the shipments, and then there would be a kind of a rundown area next to the nice downtown. They always kind of go hand in hand. You won't go and see a downtown area or just a very nice area without a kind of more seedy area somewhat near it. So I don't think your theory is ridiculous, but I don't think I don't know.
The United States right now have an illegal immigrant problem. It seems like it's way out of control, and it's not getting any better. I'm sure that that's not just a my area thing. I'm sure that's a all of California thing.
Yeah, well, I think it's the whole US. I mean, I agree. I think that is definitely a giant problem. It's kind of tough in California because when you just have one party rule, I mean, you just see how shady politicians are,
Right.
even when there's a lot more exposure to them when they work in Washington. You have a state like California where it's mostly Democrats, or all the statewide officers are Democrats. Who knows what shady stuff they do when they're all on the
Right.
same team?
Sure.
So it's
For
it's
sure.
so hard, and the media doesn't really dig into state politics like they should. They're all focused on Washington, and you see all the shady stuff that happens in Washington, and it's probably way worse at state level because it doesn't get covered by the media, and especially when you have one party rule, they get away with anything.
My politics always like don't trust the government, man. Like now they not only do they trust the government, but they're like, as long as you are the side that I like, then I will let you do whatever you want. You know, like there's this
Well,
constant pull of like, wait a minute, it used to be, I don't trust you, but I like some of your ideas or I like some of this. So I'm going to vote for you because I like you better than the other guy. But I want to make sure I know what's going on with what you're doing. But now it seems like there's a lot of like, well, go ahead and do whatever you want as long as you are the side that I like, you know?
it's a very divided country, and if even people can love Trump, they can hate Trump, but I will say one thing that I think he has exposed: people will do anything for their side. Like
For
there's
sure.
not really principle, and I don't
For
think
sure.
people fully realize the ideology of one
No, they're
side of
no,
the
they're losing
of
the reality and morals have been poured out to like not important anymore. Like, oh, we're doing this to children. I don't give a shit as long as you're talking about the stuff I feel like is okay.
this is what's really hurting us as a country. We see three giant areas that I would say in the last 6 years have shown that even experts that are supposed to be uh, non-political, bipartisan, whatever it may be, are not. And that is in the area of the medical industry, judges, and journalists. And I think we kind of knew this, but over the Trump years, I feel really exposed, especially the journalists. The judges, too. You can see that in their opinions. Now, I don't really deal with that on with what I do. I don't get into a lot of that, any policy making or any politics with my clients or with the local courts that I deal in.
Right,
Um,
right,
but in general, you can see that, and it's sad because people are really supposed to be unbiased. They're supposed to follow
right,
the science, which
right.
is now the phrase "follow the science" means the exact opposite. It's a way to shut you up. Shut
No,
up,
yeah,
follow the science.
uh,
Follow the truth, but they
yeah,
don't do that. It's really that's what I and I again, doesn't matter what your opinion of Trump is. He exposed this, and it's maybe not just him, but these things have been exposed. And I think that's really sad because you really think that certain people can be above that type of stuff and focus on what their duty is to be impartial, to come to medical truth in the terms of doctors, or find the truth, which is what journalists are supposed to do, or be impartial and follow the law, which is what judges should do. Yet you can see the bias in everything they do. So I think that's really hurt the
no.
country.
It is hurting, and it's kind of like tearing up the fabric of our society. Because in a year from now, it's going to all change. But I really don't think that it's ever going to change as far as people being so definitively against other people. Growing up, one of the biggest things in the Bay Area, like you understand it, just like I do. I grew up, I think when I went to St. John's elementary school. When I went to St. John's, it was me and two other white kids in the entire school. A very small amount of white kids in that school. Now, because of my skin color, which is like exact opposite of what we've always fought for, now because of my skin color, I am this absolute criminal in people's minds. And it's insane. It's like, wait a minute here. Like I grew up nothing like this, but the perception now is so ingrained in people's minds, they just cannot get over it.
I agree. There's a lot of stuff going, 180 degrees in the wrong direction. But I think the most important thing is you can mostly affect the people around you.
For
And
sure.
so,
That's a good point.
you can, like we're talking and you talk to people in your life. And I think if you think there's some crazy there, you can kind of talk about that and try to affect it. That's what I think. I think it's very hard to change the world, but you can kind of hopefully, educate or
You
inform the people in your life.
gotta start with the man in the mirror, right?
That's,
So we going
that's
with that
true.
or what? Come on, man. That was good. That was a good one. I'm on it. But all right. All right, all right. No, you're right, David. I agree with you 1,000%. I think that you're very, very astute to that. Now, another question that I have that will be, I mean, it has to hit you a little more to home. I personally took offense to terrorists. I was in the military. I fought against terrorism. I was in Kuwait. I've been in Egypt. I've met with the people there. I've met with Muslims. I know the greetings. I know some Arabic words. I've taken a big understanding that terrorism is bad, right? Like that's a big, bad, awful thing. What happened to the Jewish people in that, in what was it, October 7th? Is that what it was? October 7th? What
Yeah.
happened there was nothing short of slaughter and terrorism to the highest degree. And the thing is, like, I was lucky enough to watch on TV a highly, um, highly more liberal channel broadcast exactly what happened. And they documented it and they went through it. ABC showed you exactly how awful everything was and that happened. And at the end of everything, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh man, I think I called you up. Like, hey, Dave, man, like, I'm really sorry that that happened, even though, I had empathy in my soul for that. All of a sudden, I'm noticing on campuses, there's this push to defend. And when I'm trying to like picture it in my mind, I'm really like, what is it? Because so somebody that likes to find what is going on, I tried. I went through the rabbit hole of understanding. I went through the rabbit hole of, okay, there was this place, and then there was these people, and they, I'm not going to say names because I want to make it very, kind of third party isk. I don't nothing. There was this group that wanted to live somewhere, and so they lived somewhere, right? Now this other group didn't like them living there, and tried to wipe them out. Well, they couldn't. So once they couldn't, they went back to their area. They went back to their area, and then there was this shared grouping of areas. Now within that shared grouping of areas, there was this push for one group to take it over, then the next group to take it, and nobody really wanted it. Nobody really wanted this area. Tragedy happened on this area, and then the other party got blamed for it. And so it's just never ending now. It's back and forth and back and forth. And it's like there's no real way to look at it. One party says, hey, I really would like for us to try to get along. And the other party says, no, we don't want you to get along. We want you all gone and all dead. And really, that is what I read. Now, there's all these nuances with little things. Oh, this was okay here. This is okay. And I understand that. But I am talking about the overall gist of things. Tell me where I'm wrong and tell me what your opinion is.
Well, there's a lot to say on it. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to go into the entire history. I am Jewish. I'm a Reformed Jew. Both my parents are Jewish. So you can say I'm a little biased, but I think the logic and the history is on what I agree with. Number one, I think that's important to me is there's only one majority Jewish state in the world. There's only one. How many majority Arab states are there? How many majority Muslim states are there? Many.
There's a lot.
And the Israelis, and not all Israelis are Jewish. There's lots of diversity. Well, first of all, I think I'm not even sure where to begin. This can be a long, long discussion, but I would say a couple things. First, and I'm not going to go into the total history of it here. There's a long history. I don't really listen to a lot of people that don't dig into the history. Because if you don't know the history, it a lot of people think that if, especially all these woke people, if it happened before they were born, it doesn't matter. Okay. So, but one thing is the history is very important, and the history goes back thousands of years, not just the last 70 years, even though that's the relevant history. That's important too. That's one big point, is that people really need to learn the history. It's complicated. It's like any type of history, very complicated, lots of different things, lots of moving parts, but it's important to know the history. Other very important thing is to know that the Israelis in 1948 agreed to split the land with the Arabs that were living there. They agreed to the UN divided what is now Israel into two parts: an Arab section that they were going to call Palestine, and a Jewish section, Israel. Israelis agreed to it. Palestinians said, no, we don't want any of you here, and declared war. And so that's important to know that as well. So those are two big points. Know that the Jews were willing to come to an agreement when they started. Those two things. And then this is what no one does. And this is what I said a few minutes ago. You have to zoom out. Look at the area. Where are the Jewish majority countries there? Where are the Arab countries? It's 100 to 1. Israel wants this little strip of land. This little strip of land that is smaller than any U.S. state. That's it. They're not trying to invade Syria. They're not trying to invade Iraq, Iran, Egypt, all these other countries, even though they have the military to do so. They could, but they don't. They just want their one country. That's it. Arabs have plenty of countries. So to me, no one likes to zoom out. They like to zoom in and say Israel has a very powerful military. And with this whole, as you were saying earlier, this kind of woke mentality of oppressor and oppressed, that's what people jump to. Oh, Israel's strong. They must be the oppressor. They have lighter skin, which isn't necessarily true. They must be the white people, the oppressors of the dark skinned people in the area. And so to me, there's a million other things to go into with this, but I think if you kind of broaching the subject on a high level, zoom out, how many Jewish countries, how many Arab countries, how many Muslim countries? Okay. The Jews just want one country. That's it. Right. Just one. And then look at the history. Again, I'm not going to go into the whole history. Look at the history. People forget the history. Jews want to compromise. And I will bring up one other point that I think a lot of people don't understand. And it has to do with, this is very key, but you can almost call it, it's kind of, the whole thing is kind of sick, but you can almost call it marketing. What the Arab countries did, and I use the word Arab because that's what they were in that area. They didn't call themselves Palestinians. It was Arab. So the first war against Israel in 1948, when Israel declared itself a country, is called the Arab-Israeli War. Why? Because it was Arabs from all countries attacking Israel. Israel survived. Then what happened 20 years later, 1967? All the countries attacked again. Israel survived. What happened in 1973? All the countries attacked. Israel survived. So what did they do? They started to think, wait a second, if all our armies of our 7 strong Arab countries cannot defeat Israel, we have to change the strategy. We're going to change the way we market this. We're going to say that Israel is the oppressor. Israel is the strong country, and the small Palestinians, nothing to do with all the other countries that wanted that land, Egypt and Syria and all the other neighbors. So they said, we're not going to destroy Israel because we can't. So what we'll do is we'll have the Palestinians commit terrorism, and then we'll show Israel as a strong country. And that is what I would say, the marketing of the situation. Every time there's a terrorist attack on Israel, Israel will hit back, as they should. Now, Israel does not want to kill innocent people. Nobody who is civilized like civilized democracy, like Israel, which is the only democracy in the Middle East, by the way, wants to kill innocent people. But yes, innocent people die in war. It's sad. Shouldn't happen. Does happen. But every time there's a terrorist attack, Israel strikes back and then Israel gets blamed. That's what's happening. And that is the marketing strategy of the terrorists in the Arab countries that attacked Israel for the last 50 years. And the strategy works for marketing purposes.
I was in San Francisco and we're going to go Christmas shopping, right? For whatever. And there's this huge amount of people and they're holding out these signs that say free Palestine. And I sat there thinking to myself, what the fuck are they going to be freeing them from? What are they freeing them from? I kept thinking, like, what? Like the Gaza Strip? Like, that's the only thing I could think of. So I walked up to one and I said, hey, what are you freeing? What do you guys need to be freed from? And instead of talking to me, it got pissed off and started yelling. And then another one pulled me off and I was like, what the fuck just happened? There was zero contact. But I just wondered, what are they like? What's the thought?
I don't think there is much of a thought. Yeah, they want it to be free of Jews. That's what they're saying. That's you've heard that
that's what they're saying. Legitly,
you've heard from the river to the sea. Have you heard that phrase?
I've heard that.
Okay.
Yes.
From the Jordan River, which is one side of Israel, to the Mediterranean Sea, Palestine shall be free. Meaning that from the whole country, what they're really saying without really saying it is we want to be free from Jews in that whole area. But they're not logical. A lot of these people that are protest, it's funny because let me say this. The protesters are usually losing. Okay. You're not going to see a lot of Israelis protest. And I'm not Israeli, I'm Jewish, but you're not going to see a lot of Jews protest. They don't protest. They worry about improving their lives. The people in the US protesting, a lot of young kids, a lot of idiots on college campuses. They don't know what they're doing. They want excitement. They want to have some meaning to their lives that they don't have. So, I don't say I forgive them, but I don't really pay much attention. They're idiots. Now, if they start committing crimes and they go after Jews, that's a problem. But just protesting idiot with the sign is meaningless to me. It just shows me, yeah, that's like a bunch of idiots. Right. Let them be idiots. That's what, but yeah, that's what they're saying. Whereas what Israel is saying is, you want to free Palestine, let us kill Hamas. Because not only does that help Israel, it helps Palestinians.
Right.
Okay? That's what they're going to, so they will be free. Yeah. You get rid of it. It's just, when 9/11 happened, everyone was united. Now, this is Israel's 9/11, and we've become so crazy in America and other places that there's pro-terrorist marches. So that is, I think, what you were saying before, and that is something that drives me crazy. But again, I don't go and fight the protesters or try to even educate them. I just try to educate, you're not Jewish. A lot of times people don't know the whole history of it. Most Jews know all this history, but that's what I do is I explain to people that are interested in knowledge and wanting to know, and they can disagree. And I have lots of problems with Israel, and I'm not 100% behind everything they do, but they're a democracy. You can vote in politicians. You can vote out politicians. A lot of reasons why a lot of these Arab countries don't like Israel, they don't like America. And Israel's a little America, okay? It's very diverse.
Right.
The Arabs that live and are citizens of Israel are the most free Arabs in the world. They're not oppressed. There's no dictator. They get to vote. No one brings this stuff up. Israel is a democracy. I thought we were all about democracy. I guess maybe we're not all about democracy. See, we're only about democracy when it's your side, like you were saying earlier.
The thing is with my kids, I see it because they're at that age where it's going on and to them and they're, being exposed to this kind of stuff is, how we played football and how we liked certain music and we like certain things and we kind of fit together that way. And we had something that made us us. You know what I mean? Like we had something. These kids don't have anything that makes them them except for their sexuality or their
Protesting.
ideas,
Yeah. Yep.
their ideas that make them stand out, and people go, "Oh, that's them over there," and that's what all they're grasping to is to feel a part of something.
Right.
And it's sad right now that that's the state of our world is we're able to connect so well to everything, and yet everybody is pushed away so much more, you
What's
know?
so interesting how you just said they want to be part of something, and it that ties in. A lot of people before October 7th said, "Well, how could the Nazis exist? How could they come to power?" They wanted to be part of something, and you're seeing that exactly play out right now with
That
the
was my
kids
thought.
in the streets want to be part of something. They don't really care what they want to have some meaning. They want to feel they accomplish something. They start with the small protest. So do I feel it's a issue? Yeah, I am not that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just optimistic. I'm not too worried about anti-Semitism in the U.S., even though it does happen and there are a lot of these protests. But I'm optimistic that good people are shocked at the anti-Semitism that exists, and
Yeah.
it really exposed it in college campuses and in the U.S. and around the world. Around the world, it was pretty well known, but people are shocked, and I've seen that from all the left and the right. Politicians that I can't stand on any other issue, I've heard very logical statements in support of Israel. And to me, that's a very important issue, and to all Jews and to all civilized people, because it goes to the history. Civilizations, they call like Jews the canary in the coal mine. So when the country turns against the Jews or kicks the Jews out, that civilization soon after collapses. So
Wow.
you can monitor the quality of countries by how they're treating Jews.
Mm.
Anti-Semitic countries over history, they don't do very well, even though, so the Jews are a lot of times the scapegoats, and we don't want that to happen to America. America's the greatest country to ever exist. But it is a wake up call when there's anti-Semitism at Harvard and all these other
Right.
Ivy League
I got a
universities.
question though. I got a question. Does this mean you got to pick? You got to call on me first. I raised my hand. So
All right,
okay.
there.
So do you pick? Okay. Does this mean? Does this mean that we're gonna stop getting woke movies? Does this mean we're gonna stop getting woke movies? That's what I want to know. That's I'm hoping. I mean, I'm just saying. You know,
Oh,
you're
that
pissing
was
off the
good.
wrong group.
That was good. I've heard. Okay, you need to educate some of my other friends on how to deliver. Like, that was good. That was good. And actually, I hope that's true. I hope we stop getting woke movies, but I can't.
Right.
Hopefully, that will be a second benefit of this, but I can't guarantee
Yeah,
it.
yeah. One thing I will say is that after watching the video, those like the Jewish women are absolutely gorgeous. I was blown away. Like, oh my god, bro! Like their level of quality is pretty damn high. These
Well,
are beautiful.
when this all dies down eventually, I mean, it's still going to be several months, but I'm going to head out there, and
Are you really?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
would
And
love to go.
I have not been, and I really regret that I haven't. My sister's been a bunch. All my Jewish friends have been out there and they all love it. And,
Mm,
it's, it's a, it's a great country. There's a ton of history, and not just for Jews, for Christians as well, for Muslims. And then, they also party out there too. It's a good mix of history and culture and fun and beach and all that type of stuff. So,
well, if your wife doesn't go, I'm all in, man. Let me know.
no,
Let me know.
she might go, but he can come too.
I might fit in the
And
luggage.
and that way I have an excuse. I can look at the Israeli women. No, I'm just looking for my friend.
There you go. Of
We used to have a joke for Brett, for, if you remember Brett, like,
course.
oh, it's for Brett. Like, yeah, no, we don't want to go talk to these girls, but Brett's
Well,
single. We're gonna do it
yeah,
for him.
we're helping him out, right? Helping him out. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But all right, I'll let you get going. I know it's time for your cowgirls to play, and I don't want them to be without their biggest fan, right? They might
I
lose
did
if you're
miss
not
a
watching the game.
92-yard touchdown.
They lost. They
No,
had
they
it on
threw.
them. Oh,
No, CD had a
was it their? It
92-yard
had to be their
touchdown.
running back because it couldn't be their quarterback. It had to be somebody
Well,
else. That guy
no,
can't
it
throw.
was
No,
the
he's playing
quarterback.
pretty good, right? He's playing pretty good,
He's
isn't
playing
he?
pretty good. I'm in fantasy championship, and he's my quarterback. So he just threw a 92-yard touchdown. So that's good.
Damn. All right. All right. Well, that's the way you play it. But David,
7-3.
I'm dead serious, man. I have nothing but love and respect for you, and I very glad you came on here to talk about like it's pretty powerful scenarios. You know, like the stuff we talked about is pretty big effing deal right now. And
Yeah,
you're very articulate and you say things in the right way. And I'd love to have you on again for something else. So, you know,
yeah, I'd love
I
to do
can
it.
pay you again. How much? I don't know what your fee is, but you know, hopefully I can make
Sounds good.
it. All right, buddy. I'll
I
talk to you soon.
I
And
I
what
bill every 2 minutes. So
what's your cat's name?
uh so there's two of them.
You used to have big face. What
Leo.
was it? Big face and
Oh, when I was growing up, I had two
yeah, yeah,
sisters, Big Face and Little Face. Now I have
yeah,
two
yeah.
brothers, Leo
What-
and Zeke.
Oh, come on, man. That's too normal. Well, I like it though. Leo and
And
Zeke.
both
So
Zeke's got fat, the football player and my cat.
yeah, he's doing pretty good for the Patriots, right?
Yeah, he's doing okay.
I love it. All right, buddy. I'll talk
Anyway,
to you soon.
all right,
Thank you.
we'll talk soon. Thanks for having me.